Go away, recording has started. Go away. I wanted to do an annual bashing on PGI video, partly just to vent my spleen, but also as a way to explain why I still won't allow MWO content to come back to my YouTube channel. But alas, my life is just too damn busy. The amount of salt I have to throw is enormous, and it would take way more time to throw it all than I have. So instead, I'm going to surprise the hell out of everyone, including myself, by actually giving PGI a tiny amount of constructive feedback with a minimum of included salt. That'll be the first part of this video. In the second part of the video, as penance for being constructive and not amusingly salty, I'll give you some off-meta builds that I've been having fun with, including an improved MRM/medium laser Marauder 9M build that I also posted on Reddit, a GaussVomit Ebon Jaguar, and an off-meta but effective and, at least in my opinion, fun build for the Crusader 6T that uses an LFA 300 for better survivability. And I'm going to try and do all of this fairly fast because of that life too damn busy thing I previously mentioned. So let's jump right the fuck into the constructive feedback. I started with two assumptions. 1. PGI is emotionally invested in groups in solo queue, aka soup queue, and therefore they won't ever willingly go back to separate solo and group queues. 2. PGI is too stupid to understand that bad matchmaking, which is mainly caused by groups in solo queue, is ruining their game and driving away players. There's days more worth of things to say about both of these points, but again, no freaking time. So after making those assumptions, I then threw in a couple of personal prejudices. A. 8v8 is better. I had lots of fun with 8v8. B. EventQ hasn't brought back the fun to MWO like I thought it could and would. Mixing these two piles of crap together, I came up with the following radical proposal. Whenever Darren and Matt can't think of something better to do with EventQ, EventQ becomes 8v8 solo queue. And just so I'm 100% clear here, solo means no fucking groups allowed, period! So, why do this? First, it shuts my annoying ass up, at least for some amount of time. Second, because you have to specifically opt into EventQ, people who elect to play 8v8 EventQ can't reasonably bitch about matchmaking times being too long. After all, we opted into the EventQ. Third, it gives Darren and Matt an easy out when they can't figure out what to do with / don't have time to mess with EventQ. C, I do have some tiny little microscopic sliver of empathy for the people who work at PGI, even if it is totally and completely self-serving. What I genuinely hope will happen in the long run is that everyone with a brain will end up in 8v8 EventQ, and the only thing left in soup queue will be newbies who are too green to opt out, and consciously evil groups farming said newbies. In short, it'll become a zero-fun ghetto just like faction play is today. Meanwhile, EventQ 8v8 solo will become the new solo queue that everyone with an IQ larger than their shoe size plays. Now, given PGI's track record of admitting their ridiculously stupid mistakes, it should only take PGI, say, 6 or 7 years to notice this is happening, by which time it'll be way too late. Either they'll have decided not to renew the MechWarrior IP license from Microsoft, or their entire playbase will rebel when they attempt to recombine 8v8 solo with shit-awful soup queue. That's it. That's my entire constructive feedback. When EventQ isn't being used for something else, use it to shut up haters like me and give us the 8v8 no-group solo queue that we scream about so much. Seems pretty simple, no? Now swiftly onwards to the builds. This is a build I call Tony Stank because of the bronze and red colors. I will put the URL for the Reddit post that I made on this in the description of this video. This is a slightly off meta because it uses a MRM40 and MRM20 instead of 230s. This allows a 4th heatsink to be put in the build, and although 40 plus 20 does create ghost heat, the extra heatsink actually ends up being slightly cooler. This is still a slower build. I wouldn't recommend it for newbies, but it is fully clad in armor. All slots are used, all tons are used, and all weapon hardpoints are populated. It also has ECM. It's an excellent performer for me in solo queue. Give it a shot if you like Marauders. This is the GaussVomit Ebon Jaguar. As you can see, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ER medium lasers and a Gauss rifle. Here's the build. I'll put a Nav Alpha Mech Lab link in the description as well. Essentially, this was about stuffing as many heat sinks and as many lasers and a Gauss rifle into the EBJ. I would really have liked to put the Gauss rifle up high here by this laser. Unfortunately, I just could not find an Omnipod that allowed me to do that, not even the Esprit de Corps Omnipod. This build is fun for me in solo queue because the firepower is high at 54 and the Gauss rifle has good range. It's not for newbies because the low flat profile of the Ebon Jaguar makes it an easy target. Nevertheless, it is fun, and if you like GaussVomit, you can give it a shot. Finally, the Crusader. This build uses an LFE 300 engine for reasonable durability, 3 large lasers up top for long-range poking, and 5 medium lasers on the arm for up-close brawling. Here's the build. This is off-meta because the meta build is currently 2 snub PPCs and a boatload of small lasers. If you don't like snub PPCs for some reason, or you just want to try something different with your Crusader 6T, go ahead and use this one. You might find it an interesting change from the norm. Again, skill tree code, etc. will be put in the description of the video. That's it. I'm out. Hope you're staying salty, my friends. My life is way too fucking busy.